In our relentless pursuit of happiness and success, we often fall into the trap of forceful chasing, a frantic scramble for external validation and achievement. We push, we strive, we exhaust ourselves, only to find our desires seemingly receding further into the distance. But what if the ancient wisdom of Stoicism held a profound key to a different approach? What if the path to attracting what we truly desire lies not in frantic exertion, but in cultivating inner resilience and aligning with the natural order of the universe? Join me as we explore how the timeless principles of Stoicism can liberate us from the exhausting cycle of chasing and guide us towards a state of tranquil attraction, where our desires flow to us with a newfound sense of ease. Number 1. Detach from the outcome. Cultivating inner peace amidst uncertain why. The human mind, ever craving certainty, is wired to seek control. We anchor our hopes in imagined futures, crafting visions with painstaking detail. In this striving, we begin to equate our well-being with the realization of those outcomes. We measure progress by proximity to our desires, and when reality diverges, whether slightly or drastically, disappointment sets in like a shadow at dusk. Yet this tight grip on expectation is a subtle form of suffering. It binds our emotional state to variables that lie far beyond our influence. The Stoics, ever grounded in the tension between fate and agency, offer a radical but liberating invitation to loosen our hold on outcome, not from apathy, but from wisdom. Detachment is not the absence of desire, but the refusal to let desire chain our peace to chance. It is to act with full presence and effort, while relinquishing the illusion that we can choreograph the universe to our liking. It is to recognize that while we steer the ship, we do not command the sea. This principle is not foreign to nature. Consider the farmer who rises early to till the soil, who plants with care and waters with hope. Their labor is focused, their commitment steady. But even the most diligent farmer knows that the yield is not entirely their own. Storms may come, droughts may linger, and seasons may betray expectation. To fixate on harvest alone would be to invite anxiety into every hour of their work. Instead, they find fulfillment in the rhythm of the process, in the doing, not just the result. So too with us. Life, like the seasons, does not conform to our plans. When we detach from a fixed outcome, we do not become passive. We become resilient. We remain engaged, yet unshaken by delay or detour. This is the heart of Stoic detachment, disciplined, effort married with radical acceptance. Seneca once wrote, "Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end." How often we mourn the withering of an expectation, not realizing it clears the space for a more fitting bloom. Our fixation on a singular outcome narrows our vision, making us blind to life's quiet offerings. In letting go, we regain sight. In surrendering control, we discover serenity. To detach, then, is not to drift aimlessly. It is to walk with intention, but without chains. It is to trust that the meaning of our journey does not reside in any one destination, but in the grace with which we walk the path and the openness with which we receive whatever lies ahead. Number 2. Master your mindset. forging an unbreakable inner fortress. The Stoics understood a timeless truth that modern psychology only later confirmed. The mind is the lens through which we experience the world, and it alone determines whether that world becomes a place of torment or tranquility. Events in life are not inherently good or bad. They simply are. It is our interpretation, our internal storytelling, that assigns meaning and power to them. And therein lies both the root of suffering and the key to freedom. To master your mindset is not to shield yourself from hardship, but to learn how to meet it with discernment and inner steadiness. It is not about plastering positivity over pain, nor is it the naive denial of adversity. It is about forging an inner dialogue governed by reason, rooted in virtue, and aligned with reality. A mind trained in this way becomes a sanctuary, unshaken by fortune, undisturbed by praise or blame. Marcus Aurelius, writing from the heart of an empire and the edge of existential fatigue, reminds us, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." Not the events that unfold, not the opinions of others, not the circumstances beyond your reach, but the thoughts you choose to dwell on. A mind steeped in fear, resentment, or self-doubt becomes its own executioner, tightening the bars of an invisible prison. In this state, we don't just suffer reality. We suffer the stories we spin around it. And yet the opposite is equally true. When we commit to the discipline of thought, when we examine our assumptions, challenge our fears, and return to what is within our control, we begin to shape a mind that is both clear and courageous. This is the inner fortress the Stoics speak of. Not a place of cold detachment, but a citadel of wisdom, where every thought is a sentry, guarding against unnecessary distress. Seneca observed with precision, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Indeed, much of our anguish arises not from what is, but from what we fear might be. The mind, left unchecked, projects catastrophes onto the future and replays past wounds like a looped film. This mental noise not only drains our vitality, it obscures the opportunities and beauty present in the here and now. But when we bring our attention back to the present, when we allow reason to filter our perceptions, something shifts. We reclaim our power. We see things more clearly. And from this clarity, a quiet confidence emerges, not boastful, but grounded. This energy is magnetic. It draws people, insights, and paths aligned with our highest self. To master the mind, then, is to cultivate a daily practice of mental hygiene. To observe your thoughts without blindly obeying them. To question narratives that shrink you. To train the intellect as a warrior trains the body, not for conquest, but for resilience, integrity, and peace. For once the mind becomes your ally, no external storm can truly touch you. Number 3, trust in divine timing, harmonizing with the cosmic rhythm. In a world fueled by urgency and instant gratification, we are conditioned to chase, to strive, to measure our worth by the swiftness of our success. Time becomes a battleground, something to conquer, something to beat. We set deadlines not just for tasks, but for dreams, relationships, even personal growth. And when life doesn't unfold according to our carefully drawn timelines, frustration festers doubt creeps in, and faith begins to erode. But the Stoics teach us to look deeper, to see time not as a commodity, but as a current, part of a larger, natural order we do not command. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Everything in the universe is the fruit of change. Change, not chaos. Evolution, not randomness. The cosmos, in its vast complexity, operates with rhythm, seasons turning, tides rising, stars being born and dying in silence. There is no haste in nature, only unfolding. To trust in divine timing is to tune into this cosmic cadence. It is to understand that growth does not obey the clock of our ego, that the things we long for, meaningful work, healing, connection, transformation, often require time not only to arrive, but to mature us in their absence. Some lessons can only be learned in waiting. Some doors remain closed, not to punish, but to prepare. This trust is not passive. It does not excuse inaction or surrender us to fate. Rather, it asks for a subtler kind of discipline, the discipline of patience, of restraint, of stillness. It is choosing to act without force, to move without frenzy, and to believe that the pauses in life may hold as much purpose as the progress. Delays are not always denials. They may be diversions leading to something more fitting, or mirrors reflecting parts of ourselves still unready to receive what we seek. What appears as a setback may, in hindsight, reveal itself as a safeguard, grace in disguise. There is profound peace in letting go of artificial urgency and remembering that life is not a race but a process. We plant seeds, but the rain comes when it comes. The Stoic path teaches us to labor with intention and then to let go, to trust that the universe or nature or fate unfolds with a wisdom that often exceeds our narrow demands. In harmonizing with this rhythm, we step into a more expansive timeline, one governed not by fear or control, but by trust. Trust in the unseen, the unplanned, the not yet. And in that space, we find freedom, not from time, but within it. Number 4. Act with purpose, not desperation, embodying intentional force. There is a subtle but profound difference between movement and momentum, between effort and efficacy. Outwardly, two people may appear equally driven, equally busy, but beneath the surface lies a crucial distinction. One moves from anchored purpose, the other from restless desperation. And while both may be in motion, only one is truly in command of their course. Purposeful action flows from a place of inner alignment. It is the product of clarity, of knowing who you are, what you stand for, and what you are willing to pursue, with unwavering integrity. This kind of force is deliberate, like an arrow released with calm precision. It does not rush, but it does not hesitate. It carries the weight of conviction, not the burden of fear. Desperation, by contrast, is a fragmented energy. It is action born of lack, grasping, reaching, reacting. Like a person drowning in shallow water, it thrashes rather than swims. And in its panic, it often drives away the very outcomes it hopes to attract. For others can feel this energy too, the tension, the neediness, the unconscious plea for validation or certainty. It repels more than it invites. The Stoic Epictetus reminds us, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." This is not a call to hustle blindly. It is an invitation to root our actions in identity. When we are clear on who we wish to become, whether that is a person of courage, of wisdom, of compassion, our actions gain coherence. They are no longer dictated by circumstance or urgency, but by principle. To act with purpose is to act from the inside out. It means pausing before moving, reflecting before reacting. It means asking not just, what should I do, but is this action a reflection of the person I am becoming? It is in this stillness, this intentionality, that real power is born, not in forcefulness, but in focus. Desperate action is loud but empty. Purposeful action is quiet but full. The latter doesn't seek to prove, it seeks to express. It is less concerned with being seen and more concerned with being true. And in this authenticity lies a magnetic quality. Opportunities, people, and outcomes naturally gravitate toward those who are self-directed, not self-doubting. To embody intentional force, then, is to become a vessel of your values, calm, clear, and committed, not grasping at life, but shaping it, moment by moment, with deliberate hands. Number 5. Let go of control, surrendering to the intelligent universe. Human beings cling tightly to the illusion of control. We draft plans, build timelines, and script expectations with painstaking detail, believing that if we just think hard enough, act fast enough, strategize thoroughly enough, we can bend life to our will. But life, indifferent to our blueprints, flows in ways far beyond our grasp. And so we suffer, not from the events themselves, but from our resistance to the way things are. The Stoics understood this with piercing clarity. Epictetus wrote, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." In those words lies a quiet revolution. For what we call control is often a subtle form of bondage, anxious, rigid, exhausting. The more we try to command the uncontrollable, other people's opinions, outcomes, timing, the more we find ourselves imprisoned by frustration and fear. The path to true freedom, then, is not in conquest, but in discernment, in learning what to hold and what to release. Letting go of control is not weakness. It is wisdom. It is the courage to recognize the limits of our understanding and to bow, not in defeat, but in reverence to the vast intelligence of the cosmos. The Stoics called this the logos, the rational organizing principle that governs the universe. We may not always comprehend its pattern, but it is there, weaving meaning through chaos, order through apparent disorder. To surrender is to harmonize with this pattern. It is not passive resignation, nor a denial of our agency. Rather, it is the choice to act with intention while releasing attachment to specific outcomes. It is rowing our boat with strength and skill, but not cursing the river for changing course. It is planting seeds, knowing that we cannot dictate the rains. It is loving fully without needing to possess. It is grieving honestly without resisting the impermanence of all things. This surrender creates space for grace, for mystery, for emergence. It invites in solutions that our limited foresight could never have conceived. It teaches us to respond rather than react, to move with life rather than against it. And in doing so, we begin to trust, not in guarantees, but in our capacity to meet whatever comes with clarity, presence, and strength. Letting go of control is, in the end, a return to the natural order, to our truest selves, and to a life lived not in constant struggle, but in wise participation with a universe that knows far more than we do. 6. Embody the energy of abundance, cultivating inner sufficiency. In the modern world, the chase for external validation through accolades, wealth, possessions, and fleeting pleasures has become an almost universal pursuit. We are taught to measure our worth by what we acquire, to believe that the next acquisition, the next success, the next more will finally fill the internal void that gnaws at us. Yet, the Stoics offer a radical departure from this narrative. True abundance does not lie in accumulating more, but in recognizing the richness of what is already within. Epictetus reminds us, wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. In this, he unveils a profound truth. Material wealth is an external illusion, while true wealth is the mastery over our desires. We live in a culture that constantly fuels the illusion of scarcity, urging us to consume more in order to feel fulfilled. Yet this perpetual craving only deepens our sense of inadequacy, no matter how much we accumulate. It is like filling a well with water, only to find that the water drains away faster than we can pour it in. The Stoics call us to a different kind of wealth, the wealth of the mind, of contentment, and of deep inner sufficiency. True abundance is a state of mind, not a state of possession. It is the cultivation of gratitude for what is already present in our lives, the quiet comfort of our health, the precious moments with loved ones, the simple pleasure of being alive. In embracing these gifts, we shift our energy from one of neediness to one of sufficiency. Operating from a place of sufficiency is transformative. It shifts our very perception of the world, aligning us with the flow of abundance rather than with the scarcity mindset that keeps us in a perpetual state of yearning. When we move through life not as empty vessels seeking to be filled, but as full vessels grateful for what we have, we begin to magnetize the very opportunities we once thought we lacked. Abundance, then, is not something to be sought. It is something to be embodied. This energetic shift, the movement from I need more to I have enough, becomes a powerful force in our lives. It attracts not from a place of desperation, but from a place of wholeness. It transforms the way we relate to ourselves, to others, and to the world around us. Instead of striving to possess more, we begin to attract more, not because we need it, but because we are already full. And in that fullness, the world begins to mirror back the prosperity we have cultivated within. True abundance is not found in what we have, but in how we experience and appreciate what we already possess. Number 7, take aligned action and let go, the harmonious flow of intention and trust. Effortless attraction does not mean inaction. It is not a passive drift through life, nor a resignation to fate. Rather, it is the dance between purposeful intention and wise surrender, a dynamic interplay between doing and allowing, between striving and trusting. The Stoics understood that while we are not the authors of every outcome, we are responsible for the integrity of our actions. Seneca urges us, begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. In this, he calls us to presence and participation, to meet each day with clarity, courage, and commitment. Aligned action is not frantic effort. It is the deliberate movement that arises from knowing who we are and what we value. It is the conscious choice to step forward not in fear or force, but in faithfulness to our highest principles. We act not to control, but to express the truth of our intention. But here lies the paradox. Once the action is taken, we must let it go. Like an archer releasing the string, or a gardener covering the seeds, we must resist the temptation to cling to the result. The energy of constant monitoring, of worrying, doubting, second-guessing, creates resistance. It chokes the very possibility of the unexpected, the magical, the transformative. Letting go is not abandoning effort. It is honoring the limits of our control. It is the quiet confidence that comes from knowing we have done our part, and that what happens next belongs not to force, but to flow. This trust in the unfolding is not naivety. It is wisdom. It recognizes that the universe is not always linear, but often poetic. That timing is not always ours to dictate, and that the paths to fulfillment are often more mysterious and generous than anything we could have engineered. When aligned action is met with conscious surrender, we enter a state of harmony with life itself. We move with intention, yet remain open. We plant, yet we trust the season. We speak our truth, yet we release the need for validation. In this way, we become both creators and co-creators, active participants in a dance far greater than ourselves. To take aligned action and then let go is to live in the sweet spot between effort and grace. It is to trust that what is truly ours will find us, not because we chased it down, but because we moved with clarity, released with courage, and made space for life to respond in kind. In a world driven by striving, noise, and constant grasping, the principles of effortless attraction offer a radical alternative, one rooted not in manipulation of the external, but in mastery of the internal. When we detach from rigid outcomes, discipline our minds, trust in timing, act with clarity, and surrender control, we begin to shift the very energy we bring into the world. We stop chasing life and begin harmonizing with it. The Stoics remind us that peace, power, and fulfillment do not come from dominating the world around us, but from aligning with the deeper truths within us. By embodying sufficiency instead of scarcity, acting from intention instead of fear, and trusting in the wisdom of the unfolding path, we unlock a way of living that is at once grounded and expansive, where effort becomes grace and desire becomes magnetism. This is not a philosophy of passivity. It is a call to courageous inner work, to disciplined thought, to meaningful action, and then the greatest courage of all, to let go. Effortless attraction, then, is not magic. It is the natural consequence of living in integrity with yourself and in rhythm with life. And in that state, what is truly meant for you doesn't need to be forced. It simply arrives because you are finally ready to receive it.